Welcome back, friends. iRelät here with a Reddit relationship story from a husband whose wife gave him pretty much the worst surprise possible. So they're both 27 and he says, "I've been married to what was once my wonderful wife for 2 years. We've known each other for 7 and been together for 5. We've had a happy marriage, but it hasn't been without its ups and downs like most. So a little while back, my mother and father had their wedding anniversary, which was 3 days before my most recent birthday. And for this event, all of my family got together. And a couple of weeks prior to this, my wife started behaving very strangely. She was distant and keen on arguing over the tiniest things. For example, me buying a different soap than what she wanted, even though I apologized and even offered to go buy her a new bar, but she refused and said that I, quote, didn't care about her in the slightest, and that I must have gone at it with 7 women in the 7 days that she was gone. Because the week before she started acting this way, she had taken a trip to LA. Also around this time, she would smile and laugh while texting someone, and when I tried looking at her phone, wondering what the joke was, she'd scowl at me, calling me a, quote, freak who wanted to invade her privacy every chance I got." Whoa. Okay. You're a freak for just wanting to see who she's laughing and joking with? He continues, "So because of all this, we were pretty angry at each other before the day we left to go to my parents' house. On the car ride there, we agreed to keep a show of happy cheerfulness as was expected from us by our family. We got there at around 12:30, and I had to rush to the airport to pick up my brother as he landed at 1, and my parents' home was about 45 minutes away from the airport. My brother, who's a year older than me, has been living in California since he got into Stanford, and after he graduated, he got a job there and has been there ever since. So when I get there to pick him up, he's waiting for me at the gate, and we chatted all the way home when the topic of my wife came up. Suddenly he seemed a bit down, and I sensed something was wrong, so I asked him what it was. He brushed me off and remained cheerful the rest of the ride back. In the following week, it went as planned. Me and my wife kept up the pretense of being cheerful, and we argued in whispers at night. And I was pretty sure at this point that she must be cheating on me because I've faced that in relationships before, but I had no idea who it could have been with. Yeah, whenever your girlfriend or wife starts picking random petty fights with you for no reason or accusing you of doing things behind her back with no reason to suggest you've gone out on her, more often than not, it's because she's projecting and trying to sabotage the relationship because she's either cheated or fallen for someone else. And apparently this guy knew all the signs. But he continues, "The day of my brother's departure arrived and he had to get to the airport an hour early, so we left around 4:30, and once we were halfway there, he told me he needed to talk to me about something. He said it was about my wife. I asked him what it was, and he asked me to pull over first, which I did. He told me that during the week that she was in California, they had met up and slept together. So apparently it was him texting her that entire time. Oh man, that is terrible. I will never understand a brother, cousin, or any relative of any kind, or even a friend for that matter, who will do this to someone so close to them. I just don't get it. I mean, if you're that desperate for bedroom action that you have to ruin a relationship with a family member over it, then you're a pretty despicable and pathetic person." He says it was because of him that we were having all these arguments. Well, no, it was because of your wife, but him as well. I almost punched him in the face, but I didn't. I needed to hear more. I think he saw the red in my eyes and said that it was just a mistake. Pfft, that's not a mistake. He planned on telling me the moment he got here, but he couldn't. He loved me too much. Oh my lord. He loved you so much that he couldn't tell you that he slept with your wife a couple weeks back. Right. If he loved me, he wouldn't have done this. I told him to get the F out of my car and find himself a cab. He no longer existed to me from this point. Then I drove to my best friend's house. I explained everything to him and asked if I could stay with him for the night. He said yes, so I texted my mom and said that I wouldn't be back as a friend needed me. I think my brother told my wife that I know because she's been bombing my phone with texts and calls. Some of the texts read, "Where are you? Come home, please, I really miss you." Oh, now she wants to be nice, huh? "I need to talk to you now, come home." I just turned off my phone and now I'm writing this post. So now I'm looking to strangers for help. Please tell me what I should do. Do I confront her? Do I file for divorce? Bro, is that even a question? I mean, your wife sleeps with your brother. It's bad enough that she cheated, but with your own brother, now she not only ruined your relationship with her, but she ruined your relationship with him. He did as well, not just her, and you have to deal with this for the rest of your life. Even if you do divorce her, even if you do choose to never see her again, how are you going to have family holidays and functions, future anniversaries, Thanksgivings, and that type of thing when you're going to be faced with your brother who did this to you? This is one of the worst things someone can do to another person, and this is exactly the reason why. And now even if you do find someone else, get married to them, and have kids and whatever, your kids aren't even going to be able to spend time with their grandparents during the holidays because you're going to have to avoid your brother. I mean, maybe you're a better person than me and you can just get over it and continue to see him during these situations. But if it were me, I would never be able to look this guy in the face again. But as far as my advice about the situation, yes, of course you absolutely have to leave your wife. You cannot forgive this. You cannot stick with the person who does this. And I think the longer you think about this is still fresh now, but you'll realize this very soon. And all I can say is my heart goes out to you, my friend. This is a terrible thing to have to deal with. Hopefully things can get better for you. But what do you all think about this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments and click like for the algorithm. Subscribe if you're new, and let's get into the next one. So he's 33 and she's 30. He says, I came home from work earlier than expected one morning, a work night shift, to find another man in my bedroom. My wife was fully clothed and the guy was shirtless. She stated nothing happened, and this was the first time she'd ever had someone over to the house while I was gone, and that he was just a, quote, friend. But come on, let's be realistic here. I had no idea who this man was, nor has my wife ever mentioned any guy friends. And why the heck would you have a guy friend over at 3 a.m.? Yeah, exactly. I wanted to speak to this guy one-on-one, but she was making it clear that it wasn't going to happen. How's she going to stop you? I've already caught her in multiple lies while giving her story, and I'm pretty positive I'll never get the truth. I barely even got an explanation on the situation. All I really got was that she was sorry and she made a mistake. Well, that right there tells you she's guilty, my friend. We haven't spoken much on the subject in weeks, and whether something did or didn't happen or was going to happen, regardless, my trust is broken. My wife has never given me an indication that she was cheating in the entire almost decade we've been together. Oh man, that's a long time. I fully trusted this woman. She always leaves her phone in the open, never hides it, never really is even on it. And she's even many times given me her phone to use to look stuff up. She's never gone out much, and if she did, it would be midday with girlfriends. Overall, I never saw any red flags. So this was either something recent or she's been darn good about hiding it. So at this point, obviously everything is up in the air. Divorce is a highly likely option, but for some stupid reason unknown to me, I find myself considering working this out. Bro, no. Forget this chick. She states that she's considering it as well, but I don't even know how. Is that something you can even get past? Because I honestly feel like in the moment, I won't be able to trust her again. What about future relationships? If we were to separate, I feel like my future relationships would also be affected by this. Yeah, unfortunately, what he just said is one of the many reasons why a situation like this is so tragic. I mean, it's bad enough the heartache that you have to feel when somebody does this to you in a relationship, and the fact that a 10-year relationship will be broken apart and the love and trust was lost, like all of that is tragic enough. But almost the worst part about it is that even if you separate from this person and you manage to find somebody better, somebody who's actually worthy of your time and love and affection, there's a very good chance that something like this will continue to stick with you, and then you'll have problems with that other person as a result of the actions of this one. Even if they have no intentions of ever doing this type of thing, in the back of your mind, if you don't get therapy or find a way to work through this, you'll always be suspicious of them or whoever else you're in a relationship with in the future because this just traumatizes you. But he continues, I'd really like to hear from those who stayed with their significant other after cheating and how you work through these issues, but any advice is greatly appreciated. Then he has an edit that says, let me be clear, this is not fake. I feel most of the people understood what I was getting at. The first part of this post was not in regards to whether she cheated or not. I'm not stupid. I know what I saw. I know she's lying to my face, and I know she's not accepting accountability. The point was to highlight her manipulative and shady tactics on the situation. As far as being spineless, I'm not going to jail or losing my job or kids over this. Could I have confronted the guy regardless of her making it clear she didn't want that to happen? Absolutely, but it likely would have turned violin between me and him, and it's not worth my kids waking up, seeing that, being traumatized, and having it brought up in court against me. Yeah, bro, good on you. Obviously, there were people in the comments saying that you were a wuss for not attacking this guy or whatever these idiots were saying, and clearly you made the right choice here for all the reasons you just stated. I didn't even realize there were kids involved in this situation, but if that's the case, even if there were no kids, the last thing you want to do is get locked up or have some sort of problem because you were getting physical with this idiot that was doing this with your wife. And if you have kids, you especially don't want to do this because, like you said, you don't want this to get brought up in court, and you don't want to set a bad example for them waking up and wondering what the heck's going on, or involving them in any way whatsoever with this situation. I mean, of course, it's bad that your wife did this, but in my opinion, as I often say, you should leave your kids out of it. And I know a lot of people in the comments of my videos have said things like, oh, you need to show the kids what the wife did so they know it's wrong or whatever. But in my opinion, you need to find a better way to teach your kids right from wrong and how cheating is bad without knowing that their mom did this, because there are ways to do that. And if you do let the kids know what the mom did, in some way, I feel like that could be setting a bad example where they then will think it's okay, regardless of how you're trying to teach them it's not. Kids often will mimic their parents' behavior, and if they see that their mom's a cheater, there's a chance that they themselves could become one too, even if your intentions by telling them this is to have the opposite effect. And aside from that, what she did was done to you, not necessarily the kids, even though this does have a negative effect on the kids as well. But again, in my opinion, you should leave the kids out of these types of situations. Don't go sharing your dirt with them because they don't need to go getting stressed out or involved with this. And as far as you choosing not to attack the guy, that's the best way you could go about this. Either have a civil conversation or just walk away and that's it. But he continues, I feel like having a level head throughout this is my safest route and I can get everything sorted out with a lawyer. Exactly. Perfect thinking. The question here was to people who worked through infidelity, not whether there was in fact infidelity. Realistically, I know darn well what the right path is and that there's no coming back from this, but I'm still human and there's going to be a small part of me that's going to question my stance on the situation. Just as much as most of you say you wouldn't, I guarantee if you were in this same situation, it's easier to say you'd walk away when you're on the outside looking in. I can't kick her out legally, plus she has nothing. No money, no job, no family, nothing. She's been a stay-at-home mom for all these years, and I have to tread lightly on the fact that I have financials I need to protect. At this moment, our terms are rough drafted but fair. More than fair, in fact, as I almost feel like I'm getting the better end. I assume that's her guilt, but who knows. I make pretty decent money. If I don't have everything in a row and decide to fight her on this, then she could wipe me out through high child support and spousal support, plus my house, my investments, legal fees, and a court system where she'll have the upper hand. So I'm acting a certain way to protect myself. Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from here, and I know every time in these videos I tell people, what are you thinking? You need to just leave and this and that, but I totally understand where this guy's coming from, saying if you've never actually been in his shoes, it's hard to say that you just walk away, considering it's such a complex situation with, like he said, she doesn't work, he has kids, so he's going to end up paying alimony, and it's just a very complex thing where in his mind he's thinking maybe it would just be easier to stick together than to walk away, even though the relationship clearly can't go on as normal. And as far as I can tell, everything that he's saying and doing is the right thing here. So I really have no more advice for the guy. Obviously, I'm going to say you should walk away, but anyway, that's all I can say about this. Let me know your thoughts, opinions, or relationship advice down in the comments for the algorithm. Click like, subscribe if you're new, share this video with someone you think might like it, and check out my main channel for more culture and relationship-based topics. Till then, hope you all take care of yourselves, support and be good to good women. Peace.